Unsung Murder Ballads is a true crime podcast, and as such, we will be discussing topics that are disturbing, graphic, and often violent in nature. So this is not for children under the age of 13.
But you know this because you did start playing this episode. So here are some things you might not know about us.
We are going to be critical of mistakes made by both criminals and law enforcement.
We're going to express our views on things that you might not always agree with.
We will occasionally go on an off-topic tangent.
And we're going to use dark humor to express ourselves now and then.
So if you're easily triggered, this might not be the podcast for you.
However, if this is your cup of tea, then raise your pinky finger while you sip and join us for this week's horrific case, you sick bastards.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Unsung Murder Ballads. This is episode 181. I am Janus Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
And I think this might actually be 182, but I'm so bad at this.
I think we said 181 last week. So
yeah, we're at 181. We're at 182. I just looked at it. I was like, damn it.
Okay, love it.
So this one is either going to be a two-parter or a three-parter, depending upon how chatty we are.
Mamma mia. Okay, so we got a hell of a story to go.
This is, how do I explain this? There are a lot of suspicious deaths connected to and swirling around the Epstein files.
Yes, there are.
And we are about to talk about, 15 to 20 of those.
Wow. And so what's the time range that we're looking at?
Some of these go back to the 90s, and they're very, very loosely based, so they may not be as connected, but some of them are directly connected. So.
Gotcha. And for how many of them, I guess it's a spoiler to ask, like, do we have convictions? Like, how much information do we have?
In terms of how connected they are?
In terms of, like, the details of the crime, like, because sometimes we talk about ones that are unsolved.
Okay.
Because they never found the person.
These are all suspicious deaths that aren't attributed as actual murders.
Ooh, okay. That's a little different for us.
Yeah, so this is something that when I started digging deep into this, I could not leave it alone. And I kept digging.
Yeah.
And I kept digging. And as I said, and I should state this right out, I can't accuse anybody of anything for what we're about to talk about for the next 2 to 3 episodes. Because all of these might just be coincidental. However unlikely that might be.
Right. There's a certain point where it's like, that's a lot for a coincidence. And I think we all have reason to be suspicious of the folks in said file.
Exactly. So this is why we're doing it the way we're doing it.
Oh, awesome. I appreciate all the research you've done. And, I look forward to learning about the things you found.
It's crazy. And we're going to dive in. And for those who don't know, Jeffrey Epstein is a man accused of trafficking minors to the world elite, princes, CEOs, fucking whatever, government officials, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has an accomplice named Ghislaine Maxwell, who's currently sitting in a prison, not a maximum security prison like she should be, but she's in a prison, for now at least. And basically they got away with it for a long time. And when Jeffrey Epstein was finally captured, he was convicted and put in prison and allegedly killed himself in 2019.
Allegedly.
And it's probably going to come out that he didn't, but for now, that's the official story.
Right.
So, arguably, I guess we could say Epstein is the first suspicious death we're talking about.
Yes. Number one.
Yeah, we're starting right off.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so like I said, we're going to go through each of these people. Some of them are victims. Some of them are accomplices, maybe. But again,
we're going to say allegedly a lot today, aren't we?
I'm just going to skip over that word and say we're just going to put out a blanket disclaimer that everyone I'm going to talk about is an alleged victim or perpetrator.
Gotcha. Okay, there we go.
We're going to put that out there.
For legal purposes.
Well,
this is all alleged.
Keep in mind, most of the people we're going to talk about have passed, so technically they don't have any rights that way.
Fair enough. Even the suspicious maybe perpetrators?
Well, there's not too many people we can point fingers at. You'll see as we go.
Gotcha. All right. Maybe I'll shut up and then you can start telling the story.
Right. So first person we're going to talk about is one of Epstein's friends and or partners in crime. And his name was Jean-Luc Brunel. Now, he is kind of an infamous person in the world of modeling and fashion. So not only due to his disgusting personal actions and crimes against children, but also because of his close connection to Epstein, obviously. So he grew up in France and eventually entered the world of high fashion. He was born in 1946 in Paris to a family of restaurateurs. At a young age, he founded a group that was infamous called the MC2 Modeling Agency in 1988, which provided models across the world for fashion and runway work.
Wow, great line of work for a fucking predator, huh?
Exactly. And of course, his company would provide these young underage girls to pedophiles. So Brunel frequently... Nasty. Brunel frequently spent his time scouting teenagers on the streets of Europe and basically funneled them straight into New York, the runway scene there. But he was always searching for the next victim.
And it's like, that makes me so sad, especially in that industry, because there's like, it's such an aspirational thing when you're like a young girl and you're coming of age and you're thinking like, oh, what a dream to have someone stop me on the street and be like, you are so beautiful. I'm going to make you a model. Like, you're going to have this glamorous modeling life. Like, this is such a thing that like lives in girls' psyches.
Yes.
As a dream. And it's just a fucking predator. It sucks.
Yeah, it's just some asshole looking to abuse you. Yeah.
Fucking sucks.
So in his earlier days, Brunel photographed models for magazine covers, and his work was even featured in the likes of Elle and Vogue.
Wow.
So this guy has the credentials. He's not just a predator.
Right. That's going to make him a very successful predator.
Right. Now, the sad part is, even back in the day, he was already known within the industry for holding auditions that would devolve into something bad, and word was spreading that he was a predator.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that didn't slow him down.
Of course not, because his clients were Ralph Lauren. So he didn't, this shielded him from that backlash.
Right. And it's like, fucking rich people don't give a fuck.
Right. And every time he was about to be held accountable for victimizing a child, the evidence would disappear, the stories would stop for a time, victims would be scared into silence, and this went on for decades.
No fucking consequences for rich people.
Nothing.
Ever.
So he basically has a career that consisted of exploiting teenage girls' dreams, of working in the fashion world in exchange for access to their bodies.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Fucking, I'll say it now because I can't say it every time. I know what this episode is going to consist of. Fucking disgusting. I fucking hate it.
Yep. And I
Fuck
apologize.
predators.
This is going to be a rough
I hate
one.
them all.
This is going to be a rough one.
Rapists should die. That's all.
I 100% agree with you. I've said it for many years that I think the death penalty should include, sexual violence, especially towards young kids.
I think morally it should, but policy-wise it shouldn't. But I think we've also had this conversation before on this podcast about how, right, it is in reality making the death penalty for predators makes it so the predators kill more.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Right, like it's like it is morally correct to kill a rapist, but it is not a good policy choice.
Well, word is that Brunel himself would collect Polaroids of topless underage girls, hopefuls, like you would collect baseball cards.
Nasty fuck.
So by the 90s, Brunel's empire started to crumble a little bit. This is when allegations started to surface. In fact, one such allegation stemmed all the way back to 1975 when he assaulted a 15-year-old girl.
So going on for a long fucking time.
Yes, but sadly, in 1975, the criminal case against him lacked evidence, and of course, this was dismissed. Now, we would like to think this would have been the end of his career, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, when do fucking rapists face consequences. And back then they didn't have DNA technology, so they couldn't even use that kind of evidence.
Yeah.
I don't even know how they would successfully make a conviction back then. It'd be really fucking hard.
I don't think you could.
Yeah.
So Burnell was introduced to Epstein in the late 80s and quickly became one of Epstein's premier suppliers of underage girls.
Makes sense.
Burnell scouted the young talent that Epstein would then go on to use in his blackmail schemes and other information gathering operations, is because it's coming out he was definitely blackmailing people.
Mm-hmm.
Soon enough, Burnell was recruiting girls as young as 12 from Paris and bringing them to Palm Beach at Epstein's expense. And there are flight logs showing this. Now, some girls were even brought to Epstein's island for legitimate photo shoots.
Ugh, I'm sure that helps them cover it up, too.
Again, it adds that air of legitimacy, which it had.
Right, which is, I feel like, is a lot of what the people in the files people, pedophiles,
the pedophiles of the files.
The pedophiles of the files, all of the files. Yeah, I feel like that was a lot of their strategy.
100%.
For all of it is like, oh no, like I was just going to the island to hang out with him, which like, sure, maybe some people were.
Yeah, doubtful, but who knows?
But it's plausible deniability.
Right.
And I get it.
It's like the people who weren't allowed downstairs at the Diddy parties.
Right.
Right. Maybe.
Yeah, okay. It's like maybe you didn't know what was going on because maybe you were born fucking yesterday. I don't know.
Right. But I do think in terms of Diddy, I do think some people weren't in the know simply because they weren't trusted to keep it a secret.
Right. Yeah, that's
where this I think is a different thing.
Right.
So there is one person named Virginia Giuffre, who we will discuss in a little bit, who would accuse Burnell of assault during this time. So Virginia we're going to talk about extensively. She's a big player in all this.
Gotcha.
So Epstein and Burnell's relationship began 2005 when Epstein financed Burnell's modeling agency's Miami branch with an investment of $1 million. Which I guess if you're that rich, whatever, you're throwing money around like whatever, you know.
Right. And in terms of investment, like, that's not that much money.
Right. And during this time, Burnell was working with Epstein and would have access to people who worked with the Clintons, to Hollywood elites, and other notable figures. Burnell was
it was very lucrative, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now, Burnell was arrested in Paris at their airport in December of 2020 as part of a French inquiry into allegations against Epstein, focusing on potential crimes committed against French victims and suspects that were French citizens. So
nice.
At this point, Epstein is, I think he's dead at this point because I think he killed himself in 2019. And you have Burnell getting arrested in 2020. And on February 19th of 2022, Burnell was found dead hanging by a paisley scarf in his prison cell in Paris.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't kill himself either. Yeah.
Yep. So he's found dead, and the guards that were on duty that night claim that somehow during their routine checks, they just didn't see the suicide.
Yeah, okay.
Burnell's death occurred just months before his trial, and that could have potentially had impact on what was going on with former Prince Andrew. So, yeah, there's that.
Fuck. Hate him.
Yep. So this is what I'm saying. Like, a lot of these are going to end this way or similar, where you're just not going to have a finger to point. You're not going to have anyone to point a finger at, you know? It's like, maybe he killed himself, although I seriously doubt it. But his death stops something else from happening, potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there suspicion that he murdered someone, or is he the first suspicious death?
He's the first. He's not the earliest suspicious death. He's just the first one we're talking about. And there's no evidence that Burnell himself killed anybody. Obviously, there's evidence that he abused people, but they believe that his death was the result of potential implications against the former Prince Andrew.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Because at this point, he was still Prince Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the next person we're going to discuss is Virginia Giuffre. Now, she has one of the most tragic stories we're going to cover.
Oh, no. All right.
She's
Feeling myself.
she's the most famous of the victims. If you've watched any documentary on Epstein, she's the blonde woman that is usually right up front talking.
Gotcha.
So she was born Virginia Roberts in 1983 in Sacramento, California. Her childhood was heavily impacted by her parents' divorce. When she was 7, and she says that she was sexually assaulted by a family friend during that time.
Oh.
In her 2025 posthumous memoir called Nobody's Girl, she wrote that between the ages of 7 and 11, she was molested by her father and traded to a family friend who would actually later be convicted of sexually abusing another minor.
Oh, that's awful.
Well, her father denies these claims, for the record.
Right. Well, I'm sure he doesn't fucking say, oh, yeah, that was me.
I don't think anyone would just raise their hand and be like, oh, yeah, that was definitely true. But who fuck knows? We've seen some weirdos. So Virginia spent time in foster care at the age of 13, where she battled bulimia. And at 14, she began living on the streets, and eventually she would begin living with a man named Ron Eppinger in Miami, Florida.
This poor girl, that is so young to be on the streets.
Yeah, exactly. I said her background is probably the most tragic one. There's another one that's almost as bad or pretty damn close. Now, Eppinger we're going to talk about later as well, but he sexually assaulted Virginia, and he also ran a front for a business of international sex trafficking modeling agency called The Perfect 10.
Oh.
I got to tell you, putting this together just made me realize how fucked up pretty much any group is in this world.
Yeah. It's fucking disgusting.
I would never let any young girl in my life be a model. Never.
No.
Never.
Nope. It is really, really dangerous.
Eppinger was investigated by the FBI and eventually pled guilty to charges of alien smuggling for prostitution, interstate travel for prostitution, and money laundering. I gotta say, officially, I've never heard the crime alien smuggling for prostitution prior to this. I thought that was an interesting way to word it.
It is a very interesting way to word it. Sex trafficking is how I would word it,
right,
I guess.
Right, exactly.
Oh, whatever.
So Virginia was already in Florida. Since she was already in Florida, she decided to find a new place to work, and she chose to be a spa attendant at Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort.
Oh, no.
Where at the time, Virginia's father also worked as a maintenance manager.
Oh, so she's fucking stuck with him again.
Mm-hmm.
Poor thing.
It was there, at Mar-a-Lago, where Virginia was first approached by Ghislaine Maxwell to work for Epstein. From 2000 to 2002, Virginia was sexually assaulted by Epstein and a number of high-profile, powerful, and recognizable people.
Ugh.
She also saw a lot of things happen that she probably shouldn't have seen, and became knowledgeable about the inner workings of Epstein's operation.
Oh.
And
how old is she at this point?
She's in her late teens to early 20s is when she works for them. She is definitely underage when she originally comes into contact with the former Prince Andrew.
Oh.
So the reason she becomes knowledgeable about this is because she actually begins working with Epstein and Maxwell to recruit other girls into the ring.
Oh.
And of course, this is obviously before she gets herself out of it.
Right.
Virginia later on ended up becoming one of the most prominent voices against Epstein, and her allegations were some of the first to really catch the attention of the media and helped break Epstein's story worldwide.
Wow.
Now, she would eventually try to make a life of her own away from these predators, but that haunted her.
Oh, yeah. I mean, her whole life would haunt her.
So she eventually marries, and she gives birth to 3 children. And she moves from America to Perth, Australia. And there she founds an organization called Victims Refuse Silence, which is dedicated to helping survivors.
That's awesome.
Virginia's advocacy turned her into a fiery phoenix born from the ashes of basically turned her into like a radicalized sort of angel of vengeance.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
At this point, when I first heard her name, it was before the tragic things that are going to happen. But I was impressed with her. I honestly thought she was probably one of the strongest survivors I've ever heard talk.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's so many ways that what she'd already been through could just crush you.
Exactly.
And
especially when you have
it is incredible that, yeah, I guess it probably did crush her, but like you said, I like the way you phrased that, a phoenix from the ashes.
Right. And to be honest, going up against people like we're talking about here, that takes guts.
So much fucking guts.
Right. And her life wasn't easy after she escaped Epstein and Maxwell. Her personal battles included obvious PTSD. She had nightmares. In 2019, she separated from her husband after discovering his infidelities.
Oh.
And she had relentless media right there that basically kept turning her into a tabloid spectacle.
Fuck them. Fuck the fucking tabloids.
Well, regardless of all that, she continued to speak out against Epstein and Maxwell and spoke up for survivors around the world. It should be noted that in 2021, she actually sued former Prince Andrew for $12 million, and it was settled out of court.
Hell yeah, bitch. Get his ass.
Now, unfortunately, the weight of her trauma did start breaking her down internally, and she was hospitalized for breakdowns in both 2015 and 2020.
Oh.
In the months leading up to her death, Virginia faced escalating personal turmoil amid her continued advocacy against Epstein's network. On January 9th of 2025, during a family trip to Western Australia to celebrate her daughter's 15th birthday, Virginia was beaten severely by her estranged husband, Robert Gaffrey, after she refused his advances.
This fucker, are you serious?
Told you, it's a tragic life, right? Virginia's life was crazy.
This fucker who cheated on her.
Yes. Tried to sleep with her when she said no, he fucking beat her. She ended up with a cracked sternum, a perforated eye, and extensive facial bruisings and cuts, which required hospitalization.
Oh, I'm fucking mad.
From the hospital, she texted her mother that said, quote, "Mommy, please call me when you are awake. Rob did it again. I'm in the hospital, and I need your voice to help me calm down," unquote.
Oh.
Now,
So this wasn't the fucking first time either.
No, I think it was the most severe, but certainly not the first. Now, Virginia reported the incident to police that day, but no charges were ever filed against her husband, Robert, who swiftly countersued her with a family violence restraining order.
What?
Claiming that Virginia had assaulted him and was mentally unstable.
Oh, fuck him.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely fuck him.
In February of 2025, Robert filed for primary custody of their 3 children, at that point aged 19, 16, and 15, to prohibit Virginia from contacting those children until June, a restriction she was accused of breaching in February of that same year by sending him a text message.
How did he successfully get this fucking restraining order?
No idea.
Obviously, she was hospitalized. It's obvious who assaulted who.
It's Australia. I don't fully understand the laws, but I agree with you. It doesn't make any sense. I told you.
So mad.
Now, Virginia's diary entries from this time period revealed Robert's growing jealousy over her fame for exposing Epstein and Prince Andrew. She was accusing him daily of infidelity, of his controlling behavior, and also accusing him of gambling away millions of dollars of the settlement she had received.
Oh, I'm going to kill this man. If he's not already dead, I'm going to kill him. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, I'm going to kill him.
On March 24th, 2025, Virginia was allegedly involved in a car accident where her vehicle struck a school bus. A few days later, Virginia posted on Instagram on March 30th about being hospitalized and near death with kidney failure, which I know, comes out of seemingly nowhere, and her family interpreted that as a desperate plea for help to reach her isolated children. So,
they think she did it on purpose.
They think the post may or may not have been real or whatever.
Gotcha.
And though the exact cause of this kidney failure, whether complications from the beating or that car crash, both kind of remains unclear. That's, again, it's just a weird moment. In early April of 2025, Virginia publicly addressed the domestic violence from her spouse in a public statement saying, quote, "I was able to fight back against Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, who assaulted me, but I was unable to escape the domestic violence in my own marriage until recently. After my husband's latest physical assault, I can no longer stay silent," unquote.
Oh.
On April 1st of 2025, she emailed her publisher about finalizing her memoir called Nobody's Girl that we mentioned earlier. And then on April 25th, 2025, Virginia was found dead when her brother discovered her unresponsive at her farm. He immediately attempted to resuscitate her using CPR before emergency medical services arrived, but unfortunately, Virginia was pronounced dead at the scene.
Cause of death?
Australian authorities and her family quickly ruled the death as a suicide with no foul play suspected.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Following the discovery, her body was released to her ex-husband, Robert Giffray, who organized a small private cremation ceremony and did not invite her family.
What?
Yep.
What the fuck, man?
And that's the end of us talking about Virginia Giffray, unfortunately. But yeah, if you look up, I think it's called Filthy Rich on Netflix, you'll see she's throughout that entire thing talking about Epstein.
Oh.
Yeah, she was a strong advocate and defender of the victims, and I mean, I don't buy that it was a suicide, but it could have been.
Right. I mean, in all of these cases, right?
Right. That's what I mean. This whole thing is hard.
Yeah. Yeah, when you start to look at them all together.
Right, because again, any one of them could go in any direction. But when we're going to get through like 16, maybe 18 of these, some of them are shorter than others, don't worry. But like, it's crazy when you lump them all together and look at them.
Yeah.
It would be like if you lined up pictures of all your exes and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I do have a type. Right? Yes.
Oh my God, real. Yeah.
I didn't realize I had a type until I did something like that. And I was like, oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
I do. Excuse me. We all know I do.
Yeah, we all know.
All right.
Listeners, maybe you don't know, but I do.
Yeah. I mean, you've known me your whole life. So
my entire life, decades that I've been alive.
It's so funny. All right, so the next person we're going to be discussing is Carolyn Andriono. Carolyn was born in 1987 in Florida and grew up in a financially strained household marked by instability. At the age of 4, she endured assault by a relative, and this is an experience that she would later say left her deeply scarred.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Her mother, Dorothy Groner, worked multiple jobs to support the family without getting government assistance. And she faced her own legal troubles, which included charges of drug possession in 2002 and narcotic paraphernalia in 2004, which I think is weird. Owning drug paraphernalia is illegal.
Right. That's wacky. Like, whatever about the drugs, but like, if I want to own a decorative bong, then you should fucking let me, okay?
Right. I don't get that.
If I'm a glass artist and I make beautiful decorative bong, then I should be allowed to have it.
Right. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. So Caroline described having a close bond with her mother throughout her life, calling the two of them partners in crime who attended concerts and shared other activities together. Caroline dropped out of school in the 7th grade and never went back. By her early teens, she was trusting the wrong people with her inner vulnerabilities, and those that she thought she could trust soon weaponized her own insecurities and fears against her. Caroline's association with Jeffrey Epstein began in 2001 when she was just 14 years old and was introduced to Epstein by Virginia Giuffre.
Ugh.
Virginia was approximately 17 at the time, and she recruited Caroline under the pretense of giving massages for money, leading to a visit to Epstein's mansion about 100 times over 4 years.
100 times.
Yeah. Often going there 3 or 4 times a week. Now, from a cash-strapped family, I can kind of see why you'd keep doing it.
I mean, yeah, it's survival.
Right. Each visit, Caroline was paid between $300 and $400 in cash, which she shared with Virginia, but these massages obviously escalated into assaults by Epstein.
Yeah, obviously it was not just a massage.
Exactly. And these continued until Caroline turned 18, at which point she was too old for Epstein's preferences.
Disgusting.
Ghislaine Maxwell herself played a critical role in the grooming process as well, as she routinely scheduled these encounters. Epstein...
You know what? I haven't said fuck Ghislaine Maxwell enough. Fuck her.
She's awful. And the fact that she is currently sitting in a, like, practically a fucking country club of a prison, potentially, I'm so worried about the idea that she might be pardoned. It has the fact that it hasn't happened gives me a little bit of hope that it won't.
Right, but
yeah, exactly.
There's just like something about the person who is going out and operationally doing and enabling all of this fucked up shit,
and sometimes participating.
Oh, I didn't even know that. But
yeah.
How could I possibly be surprised about that?
Yeah, Maxwell herself got involved. Yeah.
It's just, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
To do the primary predation in a way of like finding someone an innocent and looking at them as prey.
Right, and presenting them to the monster.
Like, and not even just for her own purposes, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna bring you to someone who's gonna fuck you up. You're perfect to destroy. Like,
Yeah, so there is another documentary on Netflix that's attached to the Filthy Rich one that's about Ghislaine Maxwell versus Jeffrey Epstein. And don't get me wrong, I'm not defending her or her actions, but she's coming out from underneath a very strong father figure, and she attaches herself to Epstein in the way that some cult followers attach to a cult leader. So there is a degree of that there. I know it doesn't excuse it, but there's a little bit of it. Yeah, there's a little bit more involved.
Right, and I mean, like, we're talking about, like, Virginia, like, being someone who came out and, like, did all this advocacy, but was also...
a recruiter. Yeah.
A recruiter.
Yeah. But
and,
again...
like, was obviously, like, probably manipulated into that, maybe forced.
Exactly.
Like, we really don't know. Maybe, like, if you don't get this many people, like...
Well, again, it goes back to even with Caroline, and we haven't gotten that deep into Caroline here, but you're given money to do something that you yourself has survived, and once you survive it, you're then getting these rewards for it. So you can think to yourself, I'm able to get through this, maybe this person's the same way, but you're still kind of in the midst of it. And I'm not saying they're out there celebrating, I'm just saying they are getting some reward that helps offset how bad it is, at least for a little while.
Right.
So... now, again, I'm not justifying it, and I'm like, I respect what Virginia Giuffre did after, but she's certainly part of it, and that was part of what they used to try to bring her down when she was making these accusations, because they were like, well, you're a fucking recruiter, you're admitting it.
Right? They're like, oh, you hate capitalism, then how come you buy things? Like,
right, okay. Exactly. Epstein and Maxwell attempted to lure Caroline to Epstein's Island multiple times, but she resisted that. Now, she would later turn to alcohol to block out the trauma of what she went through. And this marked the beginning of a lifelong struggle with substance abuse that would eventually take a tragic turn.
As it often does.
In 2009, Carolyn filed a lawsuit against Epstein, resulting in a confidential settlement. Now, her pivotal testimony came during Ghislaine Maxwell's 2021 federal trial in Manhattan, where she was one of only 4 victims that got up and took the stand.
Very brave.
During cross-examination, when asked if money could fix her pain, she firmly replied, quote, "Yes, but no money will ever fix what happened to me," unquote, which underscored the irreversible damage done to her by Epstein.
Right. Like, the fuck? Money doesn't cure trauma.
No. Now, Carolyn also implicated Virginia Giuffre in her testimony, accusing her of luring her to Epstein's world, which obviously she did. But she credited her own husband, John, for spending 12 years helping her regain her sense of self-love.
Wow. And that's a beautiful thing that love can do.
Now, Carolyn, as she grew older, had 2 children in one relationship before meeting her husband, John. And with John, she had 3 more children and basically formed this blended family of 5 that she protected.
Yeah, absolutely. I bet those kids were super protected after what she had lived through.
In adulthood, Carolyn worked to rebuild her life, purchasing a $570,000 home in Wellington, Florida, in the spring before Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, but she would sell the house in April of 2023 to buy a $265,000 property in North Carolina in May of that year. She basically wanted to start fresh, get out of Florida.
They have houses that cost that in North Carolina that can fit a family of 7?
There are areas of North Carolina that are very remote, and the houses are relatively cheap, yes. You got to keep in mind, Massachusetts, you can't base housing costs.
I just only ever lived here, so I'm so ignorant of what the real world is like. I live in this crazy, weird, expensive bubble.
I think
I admit my ignorance here.
I think the medium household value for mid-range house is about $260,000 in North Carolina.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a fucking parking spot here.
Yes, it is.
In the city specifically, not all of Massachusetts.
No, I know.
But,
yeah, yeah.
Where I live, for the listener context.
Yeah, the western part of Mass, that's probably normal, but no, not in Boston.
Maybe. Even there, I don't know, man.
I don't know. There are some rural parts of Mass.
Fair. What do I know?
So throughout her later years, she managed multiple medications, including addiction recovery, an antidepressant, Xanax for anxiety, and a prescription for schizophrenia, while also expressing fears that her children could be kidnapped because of what she went through with Epstein.
Yeah, I mean, I can't fucking blame her. It's impossible not to project kind of trauma. Like, what she went through with Epstein was rare, but childhood sexual trauma is not, and childhood sexual abuse is not. So, I think they're very valid fears.
Right, and especially at this point, you see people getting elected into office that might have been part of it.
Might have. Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly carrying a lot of weight in this sentence.
In this episode.
A fucking allegedly.
Allegedly is the foundation this episode is built on.
We built this brick by brick.
Well, unfortunately, on May 22nd, 2023, her husband John discovered her unresponsive and naked in their bed at the Doubletree Hotel in West Palm Beach, Florida, at around 7:45 a.m.
Oh.
He tried to perform CPR until paramedics arrived, but unfortunately, she was pronounced dead at the scene.
Oh.
John reported that Carolyn had been vomiting the previous night and appeared ill upon waking. Now, the couple were temporarily residing at this hotel because they were selling their home in Wellington, Florida, to move to North Carolina. Police investigators in the hotel room found a small baggie containing white residue and a hypodermic needle in Caroline's purse, along alongside several bottles of vodka. Though a toxicology report curiously later confirmed that she had no alcohol in her system at the time of her death.
I mean, yeah, there was also a drug.
Right. The Palm Beach County Medical Examiner's Office conducted an autopsy and a toxicology analysis revealing lethal levels of drugs in her bloodstream and ruled her death an accident.
So sad.
Carolyn's mother highlighted some strange anomalies found at her death scene, like empty vodka bottles that were in the room, but zero alcohol in her system. Her mother...
Right, and also, like, I think if there were multiple vodka bottles in the room, I would assume either her husband would know where they came from, and if he didn't know where they came from, then that starts to look really weird.
Right. Now, Carolyn's mother bombarded local authorities with pleas for meetings and updates declaring, quote, "Nobody's giving me any answers, and you know what? I'm over it. This is my daughter, and she deserves justice," unquote.
Hell yeah.
But unfortunately, there are no more answers forthcoming in Carolyn's death.
Ugh, very sad.
So this is where we're going to end part 1. This is going to be a 3-parter, so you're stuck with us dealing with Epstein for the next 2 weeks after this. Sorry, guys.
You know, I hope at least it can be an outlet. I mean, I'm fucking pissed off.
Yeah, you're going to have trouble sleeping tonight.
I am, because I'm going to be wired with anger.
You need to, go to the gym or something.
I know, I kind of do. I do. Yeah, I'm pissed the fuck off.
Yeah, I don't blame you. This is hard. There's even more coming, and it's crazy when you think about that any of these deaths might... I mean, they're indirectly involved regardless, but they could be directly involved. There could this even Carolyn's death could have been caused on purpose.
100%.
So, but yeah, so we'll see you guys next week. Once again, I'm Janus Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
And we'll see you soon.